Alright, so we've exported our screens from Illustrator and now we're ready to move into Adobe XD and to start creating. So you're going to open up XD. I think my screen may have cut off my toolbar at the bottom of my screen, but Adobe XD is the little pink Adobe button. It says X and D in it. That stands for Experience Design. You might have to look for it. It may have not opened up, or it may not be in your desktop tray, but you can look in your applications, and you might have to download XD if you don't have it already. But it is part of Creative Cloud. So if you have any issues with that, let me know. So this is XD. XD opens up with this here. If you've opened anything recently, which I have, you can see those. And if you drop down here, it actually gives you the option for other screens. So here you see the screen that we were working with, iPhone 6, 7, 8. You can do iPad prototypes, you can do web prototypes, and I highly recommend just watching this little tutorial. I'm not going to do that. You guys can watch it on your own, but I highly recommend just watching that little tutorial because it will walk you through the basics and give you a quick overview. So we're going to open up a document and we're going to make sure that we do that iPhone 6, 7, 8 because that's what we set up our screens for. And then it's going to open up. So I want to show you guys two different areas. I'll move my screen over just a tad here so you guys can see that. So XD, first of all, I said you can build and create directly in XD. You have shape tools, you can bring in images. But I prefer, especially if this is the first time you're using XD, that you build your app screens somewhere else and then just bring them in XD. XD is totally okay with that. It works well either way. Okay, so XD actually has two different, so this is our main workspace, but it has the design area and the prototype area. So the design area is obviously where we're going to set up our screens. And then when we're ready to simulate and add that interactivity, we will go to prototype. So again, Adobe XD is designed to prototype things. So before you go and build out a full website for a client, you could prototype it and show them what it would look like. You know, how the look and feel would be if you scrolled through it, if you click through it. Now, it's not super, super robust. It doesn't have all the bells and whistles that code actually does, but it does allow you to mimic that interactive experience. So again, it's a prototype. We're not building and full on developing apps by no means, because we're not doing the app code and development. We're not doing that part of it. But we are doing the front end development and design. So that also is equally an important process of the UX UI because you have to prototype, and then ideally you put this prototype into someone else's hands and let them test the technology, and then you get feedback from that. So let's go ahead and get started. Again, we have design, we have prototype. We're not going to worry about prototype until we get our screens in here. So I'm going to go to File, and I'm going to go to Import, and I'm going to find where those screens are for my travel app. Perfect. And then I'm going to go to Artboard 1. And bring it in. And look, I use the Illustrator preset, I use the XD preset, and they fit beautifully. All right, so that's my home screen. I need to add other artboards. So again, the artboard tool looks very similar as it does in Illustrator. Now the main difference is that in Illustrator it's Shift O, in XD it's A on your keyboard if you want to open up your artboard tool. And so this is where a couple of things you can actually draw your artboard if you want to. I'm going to delete that. You can click and draw an artboard, so you could create one that's exactly this size. But just so you don't have to guess, over here on my side, I actually have my presets. So I'm just going to click that 6, 7, 8 because that's what I was using. I'm going to click it again and again because I know I have 4 screens. So there are my 4 screens for my artboards, and I'm going to go to File, Import. I'm going to bring in my other screens. Now the one that is the long scroll, we are actually going to have to edit that artboard to do so. So all we have to do is drag that artboard down, and you will notice here, this is actually your break point. So this is where the screen will start to scroll. You can edit that. We'll talk about that in a second. If you feel like you need to edit it, you can move that break point. Alright, I'm going to bring this guy down here. And again, as long as you have those presets correct, everything will come in and be perfect. So it looks like my artboard's actually a little too long. So I'm going to bring that up just a little bit. Alright, so again, in my artboard, it's showing me that this is going to break here, which I'm okay with. You always want something when you're indicating to the user that something's going to scroll. It's okay, like here I hint at that this could scroll up if you wanted to reveal that part. I think it's really nice to leave, and it's always good for the user because you wouldn't know that this scrolled if you just saw white space. So by leaving this little bit of the reveal of this next little image, it indicates to the user that there's more content. So I'm going to leave that breakpoint there. And then I'm going to go to File, Import. Alright, so now we are actually ready to set this up to prototype. So we are going to cover prototype in the next video, but that is how you go about placing screens and setting up artboards in the design view of Adobe XD.